Hi, it's Rebecca Whitman, your host of the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant Show. I'm a top rated life coach, an international best-selling author, and a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I'm on a mission to help you go from burned out to balanced, beautiful, and abundant. The experts on this show will help you achieve work-life balance so that you can experience abundance in 7 pillars of life: spirituality, health, emotions, romance, mindset, social, and financial life. When you have all 7 pillars of life in alignment, you are balanced, beautiful, and abundant. Let's go. Welcome to the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant Show. I'm your host, Rebecca Whitman. I am helping you go from burned out and overwhelmed to balanced, beautiful, and abundant. Today, we have a very special guest. Welcome to the show, Kendall Patterson.
Hi, I am so excited to be here.
I am so glad you're here. Kendall Patterson is an award-winning realtor, and she had a very interesting journey to success. After 3 failed marriages and losing both her parents to traumatic brain injuries, she made the decision to embrace her authentic self and to never compromise her value or time again. Kendall launched the Queen Bee Network, where she helps female entrepreneurs find their hive so they can thrive. And Kendall and I met this spring of 2023. We met at a fitness retreat, and it was incredible. The second I met her, I was like, wow, I love her energy. I love her vibe. I want to collaborate with her. And she ended up hiring me as a coach and launched a whole network that is already, successful. I've joined it. So many people in my community have joined it. It's called the Queen Bee Network. And she'll tell you more of this, but I have an 8-week program called Create Your 6-Figure Side Hustle. And she generated 300,000 in business during the 8 weeks that we worked together. So she is my protege. I'm so excited to have her on the show. I'm so excited for you guys to get to know why she's so fabulous. And Kendall, welcome to the show. Let's start with your story. You have been on such an amazing journey of overcoming so much. Let's go into that.
Okay. Well, one, I just want to say that even just being here is so hard because I feel like I already know you. Like we've already done this so many times. Like I feel like this is just like the final finale, but I don't want it to stop here. So we talked about that fitness retreat too that you just brought up, and secret, I didn't know that it was a fitness retreat. I just went because it was Southern California and I got to take my 20-year-old daughter to go enjoy a women's retreat together. And so when they told me it was a fitness retreat, I was like, oh, I did not pack for this. So actually getting to do fitness with that mentality of, bettering ourselves and getting to meet all of the people like yourself was like such a big bonus because I thought that that's all it was. But the fitness aspect of it really, really brought it whole for me. And it's funny because when you talk about the balanced or and beautiful and abundant, all of those things are so beautiful when they're mixed together. And I think that having you there that day was just I don't know if it would say prophetic, but very profound for me. And working over these last couple of months has just been, I don't know, just easy. And so when coming from the past that I've had and the colorful, I like to call it childhood, we started with such humble beginnings, and just even over this last year has been so powerful amount of change. And I would say now, I forget how time flies. I feel like it's almost been 2 years that I've been transforming back into what sounds like some people would say like you're in a new person in a new stage, but I've been in these shoes before because I've gone on this path of self-discovery for years, years and years. And getting back to that girl is where I kind of lost myself within a relationship. And I think some people can really, really connect with that because we don't always focus on ourselves as women and as moms. And having the childhood that I had, I've always focused so much on my children and where I've come. So to give you guys some backstory, because what she talked about was that both of my parents are traumatic brain injury victims. I came from very humble beginnings. And I actually really appreciate those things now. And where a lot of people would find that as hardship, I find it as my story has built who I am and has made all of the successes easier and more heartfelt, I guess, and really just gratitude just oozes from me because the littlest things are so powerful. So my parents, my mom, when I was in 6th grade, was assaulted and was in a coma for 7 months. And she had 3 major head contusions, which resulted in a frontal brain lobe injury. And that was very profound timing for me because I was in middle school. It was just a really rough beginning, even though I hadn't really spent much time with my mom. My mom was gone and out of my picture by the time I was 5. And during those years, there was physical and verbal and probably emotional abuse. And then going into, 6th grade with just my father, and other little things along the way. So my sister was taken out of our home for abuse from a stepmom. We had an extreme amount of moving. I probably moved, by the time I was 9, I'd moved at least 9 times. And then going into, middle school, I got shuffled into a whole new world, a new community, completely small town, and kind of culture shock for me. I went from a very multicultural school to a zero culture, zero multicultural school. And then that same summer that I came home from my mom having her accident and kind of getting to work on things and relearning how to walk, talk, eat, pretty much everything at my grandmother's, my father had an incident involving the police and a pew pew. And so we actually had to move towns really, really quickly. And
What do you mean he shot police?
he shot a guy's car like 11 times in front of me. It sounds really crazy, but I guess he was a drug dealer. Something happened. The cops didn't apprehend my father because he somehow did them a service by doing what he had done. Or at least that's the story. Who knows? I was young. And my father's no longer around to tell me any different, so I don't know. And then fast forward into later years, I get into a relationship at 16 and he was 21. So that kind of tells you a little bit of the trauma and lacking of support system. And bought a house at 17. So there's not all bad, right? There's a lot of really good things that happened as a result of the lack of support because it made me extremely independent and extremely self-sufficient. And then once I finally was able to get out of that relationship, it was like maybe a year or two. And actually getting out of that relationship is another whole story. It involved tasing and police, you name it. And then getting into a new relationship 1 year after I found out that he was still married, living a completely different double life, brand new children, met his whole family. And then
to someone who had another wife?
Yeah.
Ceremony and everything.
We did not get married. We just were in a new relationship.
Okay.
He eventually ended up being a husband, which is another attestament to my trauma. But in that same breath of our anniversary weekend that we had split up and I was grieving because it was like the love of my life, found out that he was living a completely double life and I had to relearn everything. My father got into his motorcycle accident on that weekend. And propelled me into a trauma cycle for like almost 7 years, where I bounced back and forth between I was okay or I was clinging to support from somebody that was not a support system. And so going through that whole relationship, very cyclically, very patterned, he was still very much of what we kind of now label as maybe borderline. Maybe it's very narcissistic, maybe it's sociopathic, psychopathic. And I don't mean that in a negative way, like murdery way. I mean that in a way where he has patterns and behaviors that are very attuned to those. So when I say that, I don't mean that he's just crazy and he's a bad guy. It's just these types of patterns and behaviors. And actually, strangely enough, we're totally okay. We're on speaking terms now. Everything is good. But going through both of my parents now, traumatic brain injuries, just like really hit a wall at that age, very young, early 20s, and really had no idea where to turn. I turned to entrepreneurship. And that's one thing I really owe that partner to, is that he helped me start my first business and was very encouraging. Gosh, that was such a big turn for going from employee to actually having my own schedule and being able to raise my children. And that's where the little beast inside of me kind of was born. And I say this now, but I look back and I see, we've had these conversations within coaching. I was the kid that always had a lemonade stand. I was the kid that always sold any magazine or cookie or anything that we could through the school's fundraisers. And that was like where I think my true entrepreneurship might have been seated. And then it just really blossomed in my early 20s, and going through hair school and regular college, thinking that that was all I was ever going to do, was hair. I got the blessing to be offered the position to not only educate, but to teach across the country with our company, as well as an Italian hair color line. And moving into one of the opportunities while I was learning to teach, I got an opportunity to take Imagine Dragons Demons music video, which we won International Rock Video of the Year.
Hairstylist for that music video.
I'm the hair and makeup. Woo-hoo.
Makeup. How did you manifest that one?
Oh, that one was a total coup. I have to say, it was because I was dating the time, and I met somebody who happened to know somebody, and he happened to know that I did hair. And I remember getting the message. I was in Pittsburgh, and it was the middle of like January or February. It was really cold and icky there, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to do this music video?" And I was like, where and when?" He said, "Well, in Vegas and such date." And I was like, "Yeah, who is it?" And he said, "Oh, it's Imagine Dragons." And at the time, I was like, I have no idea, but I'm going to Vegas and I'm going to do hair and makeup for a music video. Done. And then I looked up my Shazam and I was like, oh my gosh, I have actually Shazammed them like 5 times.
Wow.
And so I knew exactly who they were once I went, and that was a magical experience, getting to be behind the scenes. I did all of their hair. I did the makeup for all the actors and actresses within there, and I made lifelong friends. So manifesting at that time looked like my miracle mornings, which I had done for a while now. And that has really set me up, because you do manifestation, you do visualization of your goals and dreams. And I think that what's best about manifestation and what's best about my world is all of the things that I could always ever dream of or hope for in my life. It's always better what happens.
Oh yeah.
Like
Awesome.
all of my dreams are never as good as what reality is.
I got some questions to get to.
Okay.
So how did you end up launching the Queen Bee Network?
Oh, okay. So I've done this almost twice or 3 times. I don't know if you've read Malcolm's book, The Tipping Point, but I've always known that I am a connector. Anybody, friendships or relationships or business partners, I'm the connector. I'm almost always that person's like, hey, I feel like you've got this skill and I feel like this person really needs you, and I'm the connector. And so I have whole friend groups that are friends now, best friends as a result of it. And I'm somehow that connector, or couples that have had children and gotten married. I'm that person. And so fostering that type of a relationship comes really naturally for me, because I really love all of what that has in store for them, because I love making other people feel good and helping them. And where it kind of accidentally started was I had, wanted a mastermind of other really powerful women on social media. And I put it this network on our workplace chat. I put this like, hey, maybe some people would like to join. And I got like 250 or 100, 225 comments and over 110 or something applicants. It was insane. And I thought I was going to have 10 to 15 women. And where this dream kind of started to spawn was my whole being. I've done women's coaching. I've done all of these things throughout the years. I've been through podcasting and authored my own book and self-published. And all of these things are like stepping stones to getting me to the space of helping myself and getting me through all of these things, that I realized that like if I can help other women do these same types of things, maybe they could be like me, where I got out of I had like a shack, like a 12 by 16 shack that we built with my father at one point. And all of this trauma, all of this hardship along the way that has created the necessity to be in a relationship in order to survive in so many ways, just to be able to afford a house, just to be able to afford life.
That you bring up, because so many women who are not financially empowered, they are choosing men that are unhealthy simply because they want food and shelter. And that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about helping women, is I want them to choose men or women, whichever way they go is fine by me, that are loving and kind and that treat them well, not choose because they're trying just to, survive. So you lived in a shack that your dad built?
Mm-hmm.
Where was that in
I
the
helped build it. It was on our family's property, and I have pictures of it. It's part of my story and my why, because we had two trailers on either side. One of them was my bedroom, one of them was the kitchen and bathroom. And it was at the time painful because we didn't have a washer and dryer. My dad was a smoker. And so it was just like plywood floors and I think we had drywall and mud, but no texture or paint. And I just came from like hose water through a trailer, and that was most of my middle school and high school years. And that really was challenging because it was so different at that time. And now I look back, I'm really grateful that we had a roof over our head. But at the time, it was shameful feeling, and it was stuck feeling, and it wasn't clean. And so that's where I started to really realize that women and men alike get really stuck in these positions because they don't have a good partner, or they have not enough income. And I think that that's what drove me really to realize that I don't ever want to raise my children that way. And in rest in peace, Dad. I don't actually regret it. I don't feel shame over it any longer. And now I know how powerful it was for me to have experienced that, because I do know that you can live in less than average and be happy. And you can clean something, and clean less than average can be powerfully happy. It doesn't have to be a negative.
Right. I mean, it's funny because people in America or Europe have more depression and anxiety than people in countries that, are living in poverty conditions, but they have community and they have health and they have a simple life, which in some ways creates more happiness. So you put this notice out, all these 250 women responded.
Crazy response. And then during the operation of it, because I do different things within the network than a lot of networks have, We have secret sisters where you get to send them little gifts, little notes, and it sounds really cheesy, but it's so powerful to have somebody send you something that you don't really even know and have it be as empowering from another woman. And then also our whole firm, and then just how I operate as either a stylist or as a networker, a realtor, there's never a competition. So you can be in the same position, same city, everything as one of the queens, and you're never going to feel like that's competition because we work together. We try to give each other tips and things that work together. And so the Queen Bee Network was really built on like a sisterhood, really, and wasn't really intended on being a business. It was intended on having connection and having that in-person connection, which we found was so powerful because a lot of the queens would meet even though they didn't have to, it wasn't a requirement, they would hop states and visit each other and found so much friendship and connection within that group that it just like started to explode with happiness. And we were able to refer people business, and that whole group really, really, set my tone for what I want in friendship and what I feel comfortable with women, because being abused by my mom and being left and abandoned, for many years, I had a lot of trust issues with women. And this group really brought out the understanding of how powerful that female connection was for me and how necessary it was and how much I loved it. So creating that again and opening it up was really powerful, so that not just that small group could enjoy this effect, but so that, well, technically worldwide, we could be worldwide, but being even just within our own country, having the capacity to connect on that level kind of started to heal that mom wound for me. And then I think for a lot of the other women, they realized how powerful that connection was.
Well, I think a lot of women, especially Generation X, we were taught to compete against each other for a limited amount of resources from men. And in the millennial generation, everything started to shift. And now it's like collaboration over competition. Thank God, because women were competing against each other and oppressing each other in the name of the patriarchy, and they didn't even know it. And, sometimes when women are not loving and supportive, I'm like, girl, you don't even know you're working for the patriarchy. Like, you're oppressing a sister, and you think it's because you're competitive, but it's because you think there's a limited amount of good to go around, a limited amount of love or money or anything. And it's so
totally guilty too, right? Like I totally spent a lot of my younger years in that direction because it served protecting myself so much, and learning to not protect myself from people in that same light has been really powerful. And actually, so when we started talking about like how we got here, 2021 was so powerful because I had just decided no more am I made myself smaller to be in a relationship. I made myself quieter. I changed my clothes, my hair, how I treated my children, everything, so that I didn't cause waves. And bless his heart, he's not abusive. He's not a bad guy. And a lot of this is like my own doing, right? We make ourselves smaller. It's not other people that make us smaller. So I decided in 2021, no, I'm not doing that ever again. And it actually propelled us into divorce, along with a whole bunch of trauma. My father's death, his father's death, his mom got leukemia. I didn't sleep for a year and a quarter because I had just had a baby. We had COVID still. It was just like chaos.
Yeah.
And that's where I really kind of was forced in my own heart to reach out to women. And it was right around the same time. I don't know if you've read the book yet, but The Patriarchy Stress Disorder by Dr. Valerie is absolutely phenomenal. And she leads women retreats that are powerful, very, very powerful.
Wow. So how do you deal with mom guilt? I know you have a toddler at home, and how old are your other two kids?
So I have 20, 16, and 3.5.
Yes.
And I think I need to start changing him. I think he's now a preschooler. Is he pre-K?
Seem like a toddler. So when we're doing our coaching sessions, he's like climbing all over the couch, all over you, and you're still, getting the coaching and the business advice you need. Are you looking at him right now?
Yeah, my son is so helpful in watching him, but it looks like we have a visitor. Are you okay?
Getting very sad.
Oh, why are you so sad, handsome?
Literally, as we talk about her toddler being needy, coming on the podcast,
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
attraction. Like, yes. So how, as he's asking mommy, I'm sad, I need you, and you're doing a podcast, it's the perfect timing for how do you deal with mom guilt?
I deal with it that I'm doing this for us. Whether it's work, whether it's the network, whether it's time away, I spend so much time with him because he is my third, and I have spent, 15 years without a little one. So I recognize and understand the importance of this age to where I don't work incessantly, where when I was younger, I didn't have a choice, or I felt like I didn't have a choice because of either relationship or expectations to be that strong, powerful mom, but also be a businesswoman. And that was like the flow for a really long time was just, and actually for a really long time, I was really against the word balance, because if you look at biblically, or if you look in any very successful person, they'll say that balance doesn't actually truly exist, because if you're going to be great at anything, you have to put your all into it. And I was like, okay, so then if I'm going to be my best at being a mom, because I can't be like my family, and if I'm going to be the best as career, then I have to be amazing at every moment. And I am grateful that my human design and my chart and my demeanor is that I can handle that type of load and that type of quote unquote pressure, where many people would actually suffer and have a lot of burnout. And don't get me wrong, I have had moments of burnout. But I don't really actually feel guilty any longer. And I don't believe that I have to work more to make more. And I believe that if I lean into the things that I love, it doesn't matter. And the money still comes in. So it doesn't matter whether I'm taking an hour to do a podcast, because this could lead to me never having to leave the house again.
That's right. That's right. You never know who's listening to the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant show. So mom guilt is a choice, is what I'm hearing you say. You don't have to frame it like it's either my career or my young son. I am doing it's a both and. I get to be a multi-passionate entrepreneur and be a great mom.
Right.
So speaking of multi-passionate entrepreneur, what does that mean to you, being a multi-passionate entrepreneur?
Well, I love the word, because I think you're one of the few that also actually gets that, because there's actually a lot of people that will poo-poo that word, and that will say that you can't be multi-passionate in a business because you're going to give not equal love or equal time to each. And for me, because like I said, my human design, and I do this within the career world as well, as read people's charts and their human design, and we can get into that later. But the coaching side, the business side, because I know how to do all of the things that I've done, and there's always going to be somebody that needs that little bit of coaching. And then real estate becomes so natural because I'm already a people person, and so it was so easy to naturally like meld all those things. Bye, sweetheart. I love you. Have fun with brother, okay? I'll see you in a couple minutes, okay? Okay. He's eating a popsicle as we speak. I think it's like number 10 of the day. They're like a fruit pop. Anyways, so having multiple activities for me to do keeps my brain and my I guess it would be enthusiasm or like my excitement, because I'm a creator. I'm a natural creator. So anytime I get to build something new, that's where I'm in my element. Maintenance of things doesn't always resonate with my design. And you can look at my human design, and even my human design reader, she was like, you have like 8 arms. And where most people might do, 5% everywhere, like you're actually capable of doing all of these things and actually multitasking really well. And I would always encourage people like yourself to do multiple different things if you have the capacity to do it. Not everybody has the capacity to do it. I
Right.
happen to, and if I leverage that and utilize that well, then I do other things better.
Yeah. It's like, why limit yourself to one thing? Also, financially, if you have multiple income streams,
Yes.
if you're having a bad month in one of your businesses, like when we first met, your real estate was non-existent. So we were focusing on your coaching and your human design and your network. Then your real estate, had a huge windfall and you sold your home for a big profit. And so that business went well. So you can focus more on your son. And, it just, if you have more incomes coming in, not only is it more exciting, it's actually more stable financially. Unless if you still think having a job and working 9 to 5 for corporate America for 40 years and getting a gold watch at age 65 is stable, it's not, because we can see in our current economic climate that millions of people are getting laid off every single day, even people from Amazon, which is, one of the most successful companies right now. So having a corporate job is not as stable as people thought it was. So I encourage everyone listening, get your side hustles going, get those multiple income streams going.
Have you read you've got to have read Rich Dad Poor Dad, right?
I've
Yeah.
read, yeah,
I've
Robert.
read all of them. And then I bought my kids the teen one. And then I bought Kim Kiyosaki's Rich Woman, which was another very powerful message for me, because as a woman, all of the books, especially in real estate, almost all the teaching and coaching comes from a male perspective.
Yeah.
When we're talking about that mom guilt, it's funny because I read this book, and I won't say the author or the name because it really irritated me. But I remember the verbiage was, you're gonna have to just tell your kids and your family that you need to go to work and you just need to go do this, and they're gonna have to deal with it. And I remember thinking, I was so irritated that we need more women coaches, more women mentors, more women in real estate teaching how to do real estate well, because you can't always just leave your kids at home. You can't always just step away from your family. And I think that that is really where my power comes in, is that if I can do it, I came from nothing. I lived in a shack. I came from trauma on trauma on trauma. I've been divorced and set back 3 times. I've owned 3 homes in my lifetime. This is all under 40 years old, and have built multiple businesses, multiple salons, multiple successful things. Even if it's not your level of success, it's my level of success. So if I can do it, and I can live, actually, I live in one of the wealthiest areas in the world, and it's expensive, and but it's beautiful. It's full of resources. If I can do it, and I can maintain my own home as a single mom with a non-existent, if you will, for 6 months in real estate, because it was such a tough market.
What market are you in?
I'm in like Kirkland, Washington, which Washington, we're really close to all of the Microsoft campus and all of that. And so our average home prices are like 1.2 to 1.6 on average.
Amazing. Amazing that you found a way to get into that market and make a profit in real estate. So I know that when we met, you had already hired a business coach. What made you decide to want to work with me and have 2 coaches? And what was it in my coaching program that helped you catapult to making 300,000 in 8 weeks?
Well, for starters, I think there's always an energy thing that is a connector for me. And I know that the universe or God, or however you want to say it, brought the right people at the right time. And I'm a firm believer of going with my intuition, my gut and my human design is sacral. So that's where I get that. And I don't want to swear, but the F yes or the F no.
Yes.
It's either way, and there's no in between for me. And so when I got that initial, because you had offered, and we had started talking already at that meeting that you were presenting at, and I just was really, I just knew instantly you already had all of the things that I either love to do or want to do more of. And I don't believe in doing coaching with somebody or taking advice from somebody that I wouldn't trade lives with.
Yes. Find somebody who has what you want. And if you do what they did, you will get what they got. So I wouldn't hire a personal trainer who is out of shape. I wouldn't hire a relationship coach that, was divorced and hasn't gone on a date in 2 years. And I wouldn't hire a financial coach that, was barely able to pay their bills. So I'm so happy. So what was the shift that you think happened during those 8 weeks that catapulted you? Because when we first met,
helping me create, right? Because you already have everything within you to do all of the things that you want, but it's sometimes that reminder from somebody else, and then also helping me put the pieces together, because I am really good at creating and doing all of the things or doing the homework, but actually having somebody to kind of tell me what to do, because again, I don't have parents, I don't have very many women that are in the similar shoes that would actually give you the blueprint, right? Because we can share in our masterminds, but if you don't actually have those pieces in your life already, it's really hard to see myself following your instruction. Because I am really real about that. Is like, I just don't take advice from people that I wouldn't trade lives with. And so if I could live in Southern California and have multiple rentals and, a successful podcast and all of those things, I would definitely take advice from you. Right. So what really catapulted me, I think, is just the universe. When you put these pieces together, when you listen to your intuition, you listen to the gifts that the universe is giving you. I have always stretched myself with coaching, and it has always served me well. I've already paid, probably $100,000 in coaching in my lifetime. And I just firmly believe that having a good coach is literally paramount, because I'm an athlete to begin with. And as my younger days, you don't go to the Olympics without a coach.
Right. What sport did you play growing up?
All of them. I was basketball for a lot of years, baseball, and then volleyball. And then in later years, I was in MMA and bodybuilding.
Whoa. I didn't know you were into bodybuilding.
You did it? Oh, my daughter's doing it now.
Wow. Cool. So let's talk a little, and thank you. Thank you for investing in yourself and following the coaching and being my rockstar student. Let's talk about some of your multiple income streams. You have real estate, you have coaching and the Queen work, and then you have human design and astrology.
So we've kind of molded those two together. Through the coaching and through some self-discovery, because I've done those kind of separately. I just felt like very called to bring those packages together, because I think they just work better together. So one of the accolades that, just my consulting or coaching has brought, this is a little plug. So it was for a local band who I'd loved. I just wanted to provide value for, because I saw their social media wasn't there. The drummer, after social media advice and implementation, got picked up. Well, they went viral and got picked up by the Beach Boys. So I kind of helped, but also took the drummer, who is like amazing. And so is the rest of the band. Don't get me wrong, but them together is like magic. And so taking him out of it, I kind of felt a little bit guilty, but those types of things, I realize my advice, my coaching, my consulting, it obviously works. And human design for me opened up an entire world where I took all of those shoulda, coulda, wouldas and put them away, because now I know how to follow my intuition and my actual design. And when I follow into that, I no longer feel frustration and hardship. And that's part of human design. And astrology is kind of very similar because it's all off of your birth chart. But having said that, the multiple streams are real estate's probably first and foremost, because real estate is the one thing that got me up over that 100K mark, which a lot of people struggle to get that milestone over, and real estate was the driver for that. And then I love the human design. I started creating human design business coaching, essentially. And that way you can work within your purpose and in your authority, and do your business the way you really want to do it and the way that it'll be best perceived. And then what else do I do? Oh, we started multiple podcasts and working towards getting it back into my schedule for authoring my book again. Another word.
Now, in case anybody who's listening does not know what human design is, can you explain what human design is?
So essentially, human design is talking about all the different chakras and your intuition and how to listen to your intuition and what channels are basically available within your already created design. And an example would be like what I was talking about, my gut intuition. If I go with that initial gut feeling, I'm less likely to be frustrated by making a decision to, like, sometimes, like in our younger days, we were taught, well, weigh the pros and cons. If I think with my head intuition instead of my gut intuition, I'm just much more likely to lead myself down a path that I actually didn't want to go down, that wasn't actually meant for me. But when I start taking that intuition and I follow that, like going into coaching, I'm here on another podcast, I have all of my business start to thrive because I'm listening to my actual human design. And human design was actually pretty new in the world of, like, astrology has been around for eons. And human design really blew my mind when I started to learn about it, because it explained some of the things that astrology just kind of doesn't. It's just a little bit different, but is based mostly off of where and how your intuition is perceived and how you can operate within that intuition in order to see your, I guess, most fruitful of your labor or your life, your destiny.
Yeah. So now I'm remembering what we did. You had your human design readings and your business separately, and now we combine them. So you're doing business and human design coaching together, which is so amazing, because being in business is very intuitive. And, you know, they say when you're in your head, you're dead, analysis paralysis. There's so many entrepreneurs that I work with that are studying everything. You know, they're just studying what to do and how to make money, but they don't have the courage to follow their intuition and take action. And I think that taking massive action, failure, it's all part of success. So how has taking action from your feminine energy versus your masculine energy helped you make more money? And that's our last question.
Okay. So this is a tough question, because actually within my human design, as well as my astrological chart, I actually have, like, by 2 extra parts, like I'm 6 to 4 masculine. I'm masculine heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Just naturally.
Yeah.
And some women and some entrepreneurs not like that. I just happen to have an exponential amount of fire or masculine energy.
Yeah.
And so me being in my feminine energy is really work. It's a
Mhm.
lot of work. And I've gotten to the space where I'm very comfortable with the idea that it has to be both.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that I can do that is by taking self-care. So doing my hair, putting on a little bit of makeup, which I don't wear a ton, and then finding and being happy in the clothing that I'm in, and presenting myself in the more feminine aspects of my world. And then actions tend to lead how I present in the world, because I feel and look feminine, then I'm more likely to act more feminine and make decisions more on my feminine. And so dating also as per our conversation and our coaching, was the conversation is that I want them, not only am I leading in my intuition and I pick based on, because I'm swiping, right? I'm one way or the other. I'm picking based on my intuition, because if I don't like it, then I'm not going to be happy with it no matter what. And I choose that right away. And then I meet quickly because I want to get a gauge if the in-person is an F yes or a H no. And then going towards that feminine energy is not,
by the way,
pursuing him.
Yes, you can cuss on the podcast, Kendall, just so you know.
Okay.
So
letting him to pursue me and not forcing anything, allowing business and everything to be in that feminine energy is really work for me. So,
well, I feel like in business, it's okay to be a guy. It's okay to take action and go for things. And I just feel like don't be so in your masculine energy that you end up exhausting yourself and burning out.
If you want to up level
like
your
have the
finances
balance
this
of
year,
going
then
for
you
it
will
and
not
taking
want to
massive
miss
action
my
toward your goals
Manifest
and
Money
business.
March
And then
free
it's okay
Zoom
to
class. It's on
retreat.
March
Actually, it's more than
26th
okay.
at
It's
1 p.m.
necessary for women
Pacific,
to retreat
4
into
p.m.
self-care,
Eastern.
take breaks.
It is going to rock
do,
your world. We're
the
going to
baths,
show
the
you
meditation, the
5
prayer, the
things
massage,
that
whatever
you
you can
can
afford to do
to start
just nurture
making
yourself.
a
But I feel like
six-figure
in
side
romantic
hustle.
relationships, that's a whole
Let's
nother
do
podcast.
this. Go to the
You
link in
can
my
choose if
bio.
you want to be
Get
in the
in on
feminine
all
or the
this good
masculine. If
stuff.
you
If you
chose
have any
feminine, which
questions
is what you
about
did in
any
that
of this,
coaching
the best
that
way
we
to
had
reach
about it,
me is through
yes,
sending me a
then
DM
let the
on
man
Instagram and make
do
sure
all
you're
the action
following me
taking
there.
and you just are
And until
receptive,
we meet
open,
again,
and
my
available
friends,
to the
I will
right
see you
man.
on another
But you can
episode of the
choose, if you're
Balanced,
listening to the
Beautiful, and Abundant
podcast, to be
Show.
the
And we're
masculine or
taking
the
you from burned
feminine
out
in business or
to balanced,
relationships.
beautiful,
Masculine
and
just means you're
abundant.
going
Thank
for
you
it,
for
you're
your
into
support,
action.
and we'll see you
Feminine
soon.
means you're more passive and receptive. So it's totally up to you. For me, I choose to be more of my masculine energy in business and then feminine when it comes to my relationship. If I would have been so feminine in business, I don't think I would have created what I've created as far as financial success. So
you're really good. You're really good at separating those. I'm still learning how to separate those because I've always had to be in my masculine for so long that learning to take that step back and really walk in that energy is really different. It's good. It feels good. And like going out now, I don't approach men. I usually was the more aggressive person, and I would make the first advance. And I know that I come off as intimidating. So I just had to learn how to not be intimidating looking. And they do. They continue to advance, like ask out on dates and all of the other things. And in business, I need to learn how to then still turn that around, right? Like I have to still be in that feminine energy, but not sit there during business, because I still have to be in my normal, my usual. And I am still learning how to turn that off and on.
Well, one of my favorite dating coaches, Dr. Pat Allen, she says at work, everyone's a guy. Everybody's like going for it and taking action. And then when you leave work, she says, leave your plastic balls at the office.
I might have to actually do something like that. And actually, so my toddler thinks
Thank you so much for listening to the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant Show. I'm your host, Rebecca Whitman, taking you from burned out and overwhelmed to balanced, beautiful, and abundant. I am hosting a weekly women's circle on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, where you get to experience my coaching for free. It is open and it is amazing for accountability, support, and community. All you have to do is go to the link in bio to reserve your spot, and I can't wait to meet you on a live Zoom call. I also am having an amazing summer promotion called the 5-Day Drop. Lose 5 pounds in 5 days, guaranteed. It's a great way to detox detox your body. It's a metabolism reset, and it will help you feel balanced, beautiful, and abundant all summer long. So make sure you go to the link in my bio to learn about the 5-day drop. I am so appreciative of you listening to my show. The best compliment you could ever pay me is to rate, review, subscribe, and share with a friend.
Yes,
because I know you know other people who want to go from
Kendall,
burned out and overwhelmed to balanced, beautiful, and abundant.
Great having you as
Thanks
a student.
again for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
My weekly women's circles. It's every Tuesday at noon. I host a weekly women's circle for coaching, accountability, spirituality, support, and it's so great to see you every week at the weekly women's circle.
I absolutely love attending, and I'm so grateful that you have offered that extension. And I look forward to having more within the network as well with all of the group members, because several have joined, and I just am looking forward to that, just like exponentially growing within both of our worlds, because when one of us is more successful, we are all more successful when we share with each other.
Absolutely. How can people stay in touch with you? Where can we find you online?
Oh man, where can't you find me online? You can Google me, Kendall Patterson, and my Instagram handle is Kendall Patterson RE, and same with TikTok, and same with, I think, pretty much everything. Facebook, Kendall Patterson, real estate, Compass, however you want to find me, it's all out there.
Amazing.
And podcasts will be coming soon. I can't wait to share those. And gosh, there's just so many ways to connect. And I'm super open to connection, super open to meeting up on social media, doing lives. So if you can't find me, you're not looking hard enough.
That's right. She is out there. So everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant show. If you found this show valuable, share it with a friend. Give us a 5-star review, subscribe so you don't miss any amazing episodes. Yes, thank you for taking a picture. If you're listening to this, screenshot it, tag me and Kendall in your story. We will reshare.
Yeah.
And we are a grassroots movement. We are helping women go from burned out to balanced, beautiful, and abundant. You do not have to be exhausted, overwhelmed, depleted, stressed out. There is another way to achieve success in life. So keep listening to the show. I promise you, you're going to get some amazing inspiration. And until then, I am your host, Rebecca Whitman, taking you from burned out to balanced, beautiful, and abundant. There will be another incredible expert next week. Have a wonderful week. And remember, keep your vibe high and magnetize. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.